I'd like to welcome to the stage now to present our Peace Officer of the Month from Wood Forest Bank, Miss Maria Munoz, and Chief Billy Tidwell.
Our Public Safety Officer of the Month is Calvin Jones, who is standing behind me. Calvin Jones has been with the Tomball Police Department for 33 years. Talking with him recently, he said he got out of high school and he was going to do what his dad did and what his uncle did and his brothers and I guess everybody in the family, and that was to go to work for Hughes Tool. And so he went to work for a contractor of Hughes Tool, and everything was going great until he got laid off when the bust hit. So he didn't have a job. He was looking for a job. I found this part really interesting. Didn't want to file for unemployment. Had a family, had some kids. Finally did file for unemployment, but about the same time he got his first check, he also got a job with the City of Tomball Parks Department. He took that first check back to unemployment and said, "Here, I don't really need this now." That's pretty impressive to me. So he went to work for the Parks Department. He helped build some of the parks around here and some of the things that you see. And he saw some people going to school at night, and he asked them what they were doing, and they said they were going to the police academy at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. And he thought, well, that's pretty cool. I could do that. And so he worked in the Parks Department, and he went to the Sheriff's Academy. He graduated and became a police officer. And the City of Tomball moved him into the police department. And that was 31 years ago, when the City of Tomball Police Department had, I just found this out, had 10 officers. We now have 46. Times were more interesting then, but Calvin worked his way up through the department, and I don't know if you've seen it, but there is parked at the police station and makes calls a crime scene investigation van. It's called a CSI van, and it is equipped really, really well. There's not much we can't do at a scene with that van, and that's largely the result of Calvin's work, who got into processing and CSI work and built up the program we have, and there's really, honestly, not much we can't do when it comes to processing evidence, which is good for the department, good for the community, good for the victims. All of that's a result of Calvin's work over the years. Why is all that important? Because Calvin told me a couple of weeks ago it is time for him to retire. And we hate to see Calvin go. Understand that, that happens, but what a loss that's going to be to this city. Now, one of the things Calvin told me that day, and as employers, you're going to be as impressed with this as I was, because in this me day, we don't hear this enough. Calvin said, I look back on it, it went by really, really fast. He said, but I'll tell you this, there is nothing I can complain about. The City of Tomball has been good to me. They have fed my family, they have built my house, they have clothed us, they have taken care of us. Isn't that great? We just don't hear that these days. So we hate to see him go. It is a loss to the department. It's certainly a loss to this community. I will, however, tell the one thing I will always remember about Calvin, and that is not long after I got here, Calvin is a fisherman, loves to go fishing in the bay, and not long after I got here, I got a phone call. Calvin was in the hospital because he'd gotten finned by a fish and went to the hospital in the middle of the night, and one of his fingers was swollen about 2 or 3 times its size, and he had the infection you get when you go fishing in the bay and get finned. Was in the hospital. I went and visited him, talked with him. He said, well, here's the deal. It was middle finger on his hand. He said, here's the deal. They're working with it with antibiotics and hoping they can, it won't go any further, but they're not sure about that. And we had a discussion, and I told him, well, you know what? We can take the finger off. I got 9 more. I'm good here. So they took the finger off the first 2 joints of the finger. Now, you, like me, have people that work with you that would have been a good 6 months off work probably. Calvin's back at work the next week, right? And I'm standing in the kitchen, we're having coffee, I'm talking to him. And you know it's Calvin because he says something along the lines of, maybe I didn't think this through real well because I have figured out now I can only count to 9.5. That's Calvin. So I want you to give a hand to Calvin, who we will miss, you will miss, has done a lot for the city of Tomball, and the city of Tomball has done a lot for him.